Hello, I am Zunko, also known as History Big Sis.
Hi, I'm Zundaman, the fairy.
The last lecture was to the point where the Battle of Sekigahara ended with the victory of the Eastern Army.
The leader of the Western Army, Ishida, Mitsunari, was killed, right?
Yes, he was. So let's see what happened after the battle and what impact it had on history.
I wonder what happened to the Toyotomi family.
After the battle, Tokugawa Ieyasu became the sole ruler. The Toyotomi family was a feudal lord with 2.2 million koku, but after the war it was reduced to 650,000 koku.
They've become poor, sad to say.
Not quite poor, but no longer capable of returning to the leadership of Japan. 15 years later, after the battle at Osaka Castle, the Toyotomi family fell, and the Tokugawa era began.
Oh my god.
Ieyasu, of course, was very strict in his suppression of the lords of the Western forces. Executions, changes in fiefdoms, and reductions in tax revenues were carried out to reduce their ability to oppose the Tokugawa family.
Executions are understandable, but what was the change of fiefdoms?
The lords of the Western Army who had fiefdoms close to Edo were forced to move to faraway places.
I see. It would be unpleasant to have former enemies living so close to you.
In 1603, he was appointed as the Seitai shogun by the Chotei and opened the Edo shogunate.
The Edo shogunate was the government you mentioned at the beginning. But what is the Chotei and what is the Seitai shogun?
The Chotei is called the imperial court in English. The imperial court is a political organization centering on the emperor that has existed since ancient times.
It's kind of hard to understand.
Well, let me give you an analogy. Look at this painting. What do you see?
There are a lot of important people. In the foreground, someone is holding something up. What is it?
Well, do you know who this person is?
I know who this guy is. It is Napoleon.
Correct. The painting you just saw is the coronation of Napoleon I. To make a simple analogy, Ieyasu, a military man, is Napoleon, and the emperor, who was both a clergyman and a statesman in ancient times, is the pope. Hideyoshi was given the position of Kanpaka, and his successor Ieyasu was given the position of Seitai shogun by the imperial court. Seitai shogun means great general who subdues the barbarians. With this appointment, he's finally recognized as the leader of Japan by the other feudal lords.
So, thanks to the imperial court, no one could resist the leader Ieyasu?
That's right. Ieyasu's position is lower than that of the emperor, but he is in fact the supreme power in Japan. Endorsements from religious authorities have been seen in regimes throughout history and around the world.
Why?
I've heard that a dual power structure of sacred and secular is more stable than single one.
This is interesting.
The period since the founding of the Edo shogunate is called the Edo period.
How long did the Edo period last?
Until the 19th century. It was a period of few wars. And there is no other example of a period of 260 years with almost no wars against foreign enemies except the Edo period in Japan.
Peace is better than war.
Tokugawa Ieyasu's vision of Edo's future.
Why did Ieyasu establish the shogunate in Edo?
Because he expected it to grow. He moved his headquarters from his own fiefdom.
What? He moved all the way to Edo?
The move was ordered by Hideyoshi before his death. And Ieyasu was given the option of moving to Odawara or Kamakura, which already had urban functions. But he deliberately chose Edo. At that time, Edo was a rural area. It was an uncultivated land with a reed-laden marshy area spreading endlessly, and only a few desolate villages scattered around.
Huh? Why move to such an inconvenient place when you became the leader of Japan? Is Ieyasu crazy?
No, he wasn't. Edo, located in the middle of the Kanto Plain, faced the sea and was also the terminus of several rivers flowing into the Kanto region.
Ha ha ha, I get it. It's called geographical advantage.
You're very clever today, Zundaman. There was no more convenient place to transport goods. Ieyasu believed that the distribution of goods was essential for the development of the city. He believed that if he could control the rivers in Edo, which had been considered a nuisance due to their repeated flooding, Edo would grow. Therefore, He embarked on a project to replace the Tanei River, which was causing frequent flood damage in Edo at the time. It took 31 years to complete this unprecedented project, which shifted the flow of the Tanei River, which at the time flowed into Edo Bay, to Choshi facing the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
This replacement of the Tanei River prevented flood damage in Edo and changed the marshland into land suitable for farming.
Two birds with one stone, right?
Exactly. Moreover, thanks to the construction, Edo was directly connected to the Pacific Ocean, which had the added advantage of making the Tanei River function as a major artery of water transportation. This made it possible to conduct large-scale trade with other towns by ship.
It was an amazing project. I respect him.
In addition, he also developed infrastructure such as waterworks, sewage systems, roads, and canals. Thanks to these projects, Edo continued to grow as a city, and it is thought that its population exceeded 1 million in the 18th century, making it one of the largest cities in the world.
Mr. Ieyasu, I am sorry for calling you a crazy person.
What would have happened to Japan if the West Army had won? Hey, Zundaman, if the West had won the Battle of Sekigahara, what do you think would have happened to Japan afterwards?
I guess the Tokugawa Shogunate might not have been established after all.
That's right. It is certain that the Tokugawa Shogunate would not have been able to rule the Edo period. Because if Mitsunari had won, Ieyasu would have been executed.
I am sure that the generals of the Eastern Army who sided with Ieyasu would have been. Right?
Ieyasu had many relatives, so there would have been many targets for purge. Ieyasu's stronghold was Edo. But if the Western Army had won, the center of politics would have been Osaka or Kyoto. The development would have been centered in Western Japan, and today's Tokyo would not exist.
I can't believe Tokyo doesn't exist. I can't imagine it.
Above all, there might not have been the Tokugawa Shogunate's flagship policy of Sakoku, seclusion from the rest of the world.
I think it was a policy of only interacting with very few countries, right?
Exactly. If there had been no national seclusion, the latest foreign cultures would have entered Japan much earlier. And it is possible that, not only the culture and politics but also the military power would have changed. We might have gone back to the Warring States period. We might have gone backward to the age of the Warring States.
Really?
As I told you earlier, a lot of ambitious feudal warlords were trying to take over the country. Moreover, after Hideyoshi's death, when they were fighting each other, it was clear that Hideyori was not in control of the situation. Therefore, even if the Western forces won, if young Hideyori failed to rule the warlords, they would eventually stop obeying his orders. Even if he was able to rule temporarily, the peace would be short-lived, and soon the days of warfare would begin, just like in the Warring States period. Or, with the high mortality rate of children, there was a strong possibility that Hideyori, who was still very young, would die, and there would be no one else to succeed him as the heir to the Toyotomi family.
A desperate shortage of human resources.
Under such circumstances, there were many warlords who came forward and said, "I am the one."
If there was a chance that I could take over, I might even run for office.
Besides, Hideyoshi came from a poor farmer background. The Toyotomi family, which was not a feudal lord to begin with, did not have many vassals or relatives. So it could not be said to be on a firm footing after Hideyoshi's death.
Does that mean that Japan might have become a war-torn country again?
It might have been. If Japan had reverted back to the Warring States period, it might still be a feudal Japan today, with localized power ruled by feudal lords. There might not have been a single country called Japan. The awareness of Japan as a single country might not even have been born in the first place. If European countries had taken advantage of the confusion, Japan might have been on the verge of extinction.
The victory of the East Army led by Ieyasu may be the reason why Japan exists today.
That's what I mean. Well, that's all for today. Summary. Let's wrap up class here for today. 1. After Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who unified Japan, died, there was a struggle for his successor. Tokugawa Ieyasu won that struggle and became the new leader of Japan. He set up his headquarters in Edo. 2. Edo was a rural area back then, but it had great potential in terms of logistics. He laid the foundation for the later development of Edo by replacing the river and building various infrastructures.
I see, I understood it very well.
So, today, I explained the historical background of why Tokyo became the capital of Japan.
The key points were the Battle of Sekigahara and Ieyasu's vision of Edo's future. I was thrilled that if Ieyasu and the East Army had lost, Japan might have become like a totally different country. I was also impressed by his foresight and will to develop Edo.
If you have any thoughts, please let me know in the comments section.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe for more.
Please hit the like button. See you soon.